She changed my 16-year-old daughter's Instagram bio to Sugar Princess and used my credit card to buy her outfits for clubs. When I confronted her, she didn't flinch, just smirked and said, "You don't understand how a real woman builds connections." This morning, my daughter's pictures were going viral, but under someone else's handle. And that's when I realized I wasn't just angry. I was about to go nuclear. 6 years after our daughter Arya was born, my wife was in a tragic bus crash. Everyone survived except her. She was sitting in the one seat that took the full impact. From that day on, I promised myself I wouldn't even think about dating until Arya was older. I wanted to be there for every moment. Her first heartbreak, her first period, her first crush. By the time she turned 14, we weren't just father and daughter. We were best friends. I still don't know how she grew up so grounded. I never had to repeat myself. She just understood. She appreciated everything. Honestly, some days I felt like she was the one raising me. That was around the time I met Veronica. She was the kind of woman who laughed at your worst joke like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. When I realized I had feelings for her, I panicked. I didn't want to confuse Arya if things didn't work out, so I kept it slow, quiet. One date a week. Veronica already knew about Arya. There was a picture of her on my desk I never took down. On our 1-year anniversary, I finally told Arya. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "No way, Dad! You're awful at keeping secrets." I burst out laughing. A week later, we hosted a barbecue and invited Veronica. I had no idea that would be the beginning of something darker. Arya and Veronica clicked instantly. Veronica complimented Arya's vintage band tee, and suddenly they were deep in conversation about bands I'd never heard of. I thought maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. On our 2-year anniversary, we moved in together. The first week felt like a dream. Arya had someone to talk to about cramps, and I'd hear them laughing deep into the night. But then, everything changed. One Friday, I came home from work and Arya's door was locked. Music blaring. Not the Arctic Monkeys or Tame Impala like usual. Now it was Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. When she finally came down to eat, I barely recognized her. Her face was covered in heavy makeup, dark smoky eyes, bright red lips, foundation like plaster. Her dress was so short she could barely sit. I tried to play it cool. "New look?" I asked. She shrugged and kept eating. Veronica and I exchanged looks but didn't press it. Teenagers experiment, right? But things kept spiraling. Arya was getting flagged at school for dress code violations almost daily. One afternoon, I caught a delivery from Victoria's Secret, $300 worth of red lingerie. She'd used every dollar of her birthday money. Then came the parade of boys. First Jake from math class, then Tyler from debate. They never came to the door, just honked from the street. "This isn't her," I told Veronica. "Something's wrong." Veronica just sighed. "She's 16. This is normal. She's pushing boundaries." I wanted to believe that, but my gut said something else. In just a few months, Arya had become a stranger. Then came the night everything clicked. Around 2 a.m., I heard the front door creak open. I looked out the window. Arya was slipping into a car I didn't recognize. I didn't even bother with shoes, just grabbed my keys and followed. They drove to a quiet part of town. No streetlights, no people. I turned off my headlights and kept my distance. That's when I saw him. A man who looked like he was in his 40s got out and opened the door for Arya. When he leaned in to kiss her, I froze. Then I snapped. I jumped out and sprinted toward them, ready to tear this man apart. "Dad, what are you doing?" Arya screamed. She threw herself between us, pulling me back. "I thought this is what you wanted." She was crying. I was shaking. The man was already gone. We sat on the sidewalk, just the two of us. "You've got Veronica now," she sobbed. "You don't need me anymore. I just wanted someone to take care of me when I turn 18. I couldn't even speak. Then she added quietly, "It's what Veronica told me to do." I was stunned, frozen, and all I could do was hold her, stroke her hair, and try to make her believe the one thing she needed to hear. No matter who comes into my life, you are never replaceable. When she finally believed me, I ordered her a ride to my mom's house. Because there was no way I was driving anywhere with hands that were still shaking. When I got home that night, Veronica was already awake, waiting at the door like nothing was wrong. She wrapped her arms around me, kissed my neck, and I kissed her back. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed her to confess. I needed undeniable proof of what she'd done to my daughter. Evidence that would hold up in court. So I played along. Even as her touch made my skin crawl, even as I imagined the damage she'd done to Arya, I kept my act together. I smiled, pretended everything was normal, already planning how I'd make sure Arya never had to see her again. The next morning, I told Veronica that Arya had gotten sick while staying over at a friend's and that my mom had picked her up to help her rest. Veronica didn't ask any questions. She even offered to make soup for her when she came back. I called in sick that day, not to rest, but to prepare. I installed 3 different recording apps on my phone just to be sure, and then I called my mom. I told her everything. She was furious, ready to come over and confront Veronica herself. But I asked her to keep Arya with her for a few weeks while I handled things. Carefully. That first week felt like psychological warfare. I had to eat dinner with her, say goodnight, sleep beside someone who had manipulated my child. But I recorded every conversation, every phone call, every whisper when she thought I wasn't paying attention. It didn't take long for her to slip. On Tuesday, she casually asked when Arya would be home again, said she missed their girl talks. I told her Arya might have mono and needed more rest. Her face twitched slightly as she cut into her chicken with a bit too much force. "That's such a shame," she said. "I was going to take her shopping this weekend. Help her pick out a few things for school." I forced a smile. "Yeah, she mentioned you were helping with her clothes." Veronica's face lit up. She has so much potential. With the right wardrobe, the right confidence, she could have any man wrapped around her finger. I kept my voice neutral. "You think that's good for her?" Veronica leaned in, like she was letting me in on a secret. "Of course! Girls need to learn their power early. The world doesn't wait. A beautiful young woman who knows how to carry herself? That's real influence." I felt sick, but I nodded. "She's smart," she added. "She knows her looks won't last forever. Better to find someone established now, someone who can give her stability." "Someone older?" I asked carefully. Veronica shrugged. "Age is just a number. What matters is maturity. Real men, successful men, they know how to treat a woman right. Not like those broke college boys." That night, I listened to the recording 5 times. I had what she said, but I needed more. I had to be sure. Over the next few days, I paid closer attention. I noticed her laptop was often open to Arya's social media pages. I caught her deleting texts from a second phone she didn't think I knew about. On Thursday night, I pretended to fall asleep early. Sure enough, around 10 p.m., I heard her in the bathroom with the fan on, talking quietly into that second phone. "No, she's still at her grandmother's. I know, baby. I miss you too. Just a few more weeks. Yes, I'm handling it. He has no idea. I'll visit soon." My blood ran cold. The next day, I left work early and parked down the street from our house. Around 2 p.m., Veronica drove off. I followed her to a storage unit across town. She was inside for about 20 minutes and came out carrying a box. When she got home, I was already on the couch, pretending to work. She looked startled to see me but recovered quickly. Said she'd been grocery shopping, but there were no bags. She went straight upstairs and locked our bedroom door. That weekend, I started probing. I asked about her past, her exes, her family. She dodged every question, shifted the conversation, always smiling, always vague. Then Sunday night, it happened. We were watching TV when her second phone buzzed. She grabbed it too fast, but I saw the name on the screen, my sweet Arya. I almost exploded, but I forced myself to keep staring at the screen while she slipped into the kitchen. I could hear her whispering, "Patience, trust me. Your dad doesn't understand." They'd been talking this whole time. While I thought I was protecting Arya by keeping them apart, Veronica had been whispering in her ear, twisting the truth, turning her against me. Monday morning, I called my mom. Arya was doing okay, but moody, always on her phone. I asked her to check Arya's messages if she got the chance, because at that point, I knew this wasn't just manipulation. This was a plan. That afternoon, my mom called, her voice shaking. "She's been texting someone named V. Hundreds of messages," she said. "This woman is feeding her poison, telling her you're controlling, that you're jealous of her becoming a woman." I asked her to screenshot everything and send it to me immediately. When I finally read through the messages, I felt sick. Veronica was systematically turning my daughter against me, telling her I was overprotective, old-fashioned, desperate to keep her a little girl forever. But it got worse. She was coaching Arya on how to talk to older men, how to sound interested, but not desperate, how to make them feel needed. There were even links, websites tailored for sugar baby arrangements. The next day, Tuesday, I decided to test the waters. I didn't accuse Veronica of anything, just casually mentioned that Arya had been texting someone a lot. Veronica didn't miss a beat. Oh, probably just her friends. You know how teenage girls are with their phones, she said smoothly. My mom thinks it might be an adult. Someone giving advice. Veronica's face didn't even twitch. That's concerning. You don't think she's talking to strangers online, do you? You know how dangerous that can be. I almost laughed. Here she was, pretending to worry about predators, while being the very person manipulating my daughter. Then on Wednesday, things escalated. I came home and found Veronica rifling through my desk drawers. She claimed she was looking for stamps. I knew better. She was getting nervous, probably searching for anything to confirm I was onto her. That night, she turned on the charm, cooked my favorite meal, wore the perfume I'd complimented months ago. She was trying to pull me back in, distract me, but her eyes were calculating. She was stalling for time. Thursday morning, I woke up groggy. Not sick, just off. Like I'd taken cold meds. Everything felt blurry. I couldn't focus at work. Meetings blurred together. It happened again Friday, then again Monday. Each time, after I drank the coffee Veronica made for me, she brought it every morning, smiling, kissing my forehead, telling me to take my time. Tuesday, I pretended to drink it, then poured it into a travel mug when she wasn't looking. I took it to a friend who worked in a lab, told him I thought someone at the office might be messing with me. The results came back Thursday. Low-dose sedatives. Not lethal, but just enough to make someone sluggish, compliant, distracted. She'd been drugging me for weeks. I wanted to call the police right then, but what did I really have? Some vague recordings, a few suspicious texts, drugged coffee I'd transported myself. Nothing that would hold up against a smart defense lawyer. So Friday, I made a decision. I told Veronica I had to leave town for a work trip and wouldn't be back until Sunday. She seemed pleased. Probably thought she'd get time alone to keep working on Arya. But instead, I drove straight to my mom's house. When Arya saw me, her expression hardened. What are you doing here? She asked, arms crossed. I needed to see you, just to make sure you're okay. She rolled her eyes. I'm fine. Trapped here because you're paranoid. I sat on the edge of her bed. Arya, I know you've been texting Veronica. Her face turned red. She's the only one who gets me. You just want to control everything. That's not true. You know that? You flipped out because I went on a date, Dad. A date. I'm 16, not 6. He was 40 years old, Arya. She looked away. Age doesn't matter when you really connect with someone. And that's when I knew. Those weren't her words. That was Veronica talking. I pulled out my phone and played one of the recordings. Veronica's voice filled the room, talking about how Arya needed to use her looks while she still could. How it was smarter to find someone who could take care of her. Arya's face slowly changed, from angry to confused. She said she was helping me, that you'd never let me grow up. I leaned forward. Sweetheart, I want you to grow up, but in your own time, with your own choices, not by being pushed into something you're not ready for. She was quiet for a long time, then whispered, She told me once you had her, you didn't need me anymore. I hugged her. Never. You're my whole world. Nothing will ever change that. We talked for hours. I told her everything. About the drugged coffee, the burner phone, the lies. By the end, she was crying. I'm so stupid, she kept saying. You're not, I told her. She's a manipulator. She knew exactly how to make you doubt yourself. And me. That weekend, we made a plan. Arya would come home and act like nothing had changed. She'd pretend to trust Veronica. Maybe even get her to admit something on tape. Meanwhile, I'd keep collecting evidence. Monday morning, I brought Arya home. Veronica was all smiles, greeting her with hugs, gushing about how much she'd missed her. I watched them closely, because this time, I wasn't just watching as a father. I was watching as someone building a case. And I wasn't going to stop until she was out of our lives, for good. I watched closely that night, how Veronica touched Arya's arm, leaned in just a little too close when they talked, all the subtle ways she was trying to rebuild their bond. At dinner, Arya played her role flawlessly, complaining about being stuck at Grandma's, saying how good it felt to be home with people who understood her. Veronica ate it up, casting smug, triumphant glances my way when she thought I wasn't paying attention. But things got stranger by Tuesday. I walked in to find them in Arya's room. Veronica was holding up a red dress I'd never seen before. I saved this for you, she said, smiling. I knew your dad wouldn't approve, but you're old enough now to choose your own style. It was short, way too short, and had cutouts that made me deeply uncomfortable. But I bit my tongue. We had a plan. I needed to stick to it. Then on Wednesday, I heard them talking late at night in Arya's room. Their voices were hushed, but urgent. I pressed my ear to the door. "There's someone I want you to meet," Veronica whispered. "He's very successful, owns multiple businesses. He saw your picture and thinks you're beautiful. Very mature for your age." "I don't know," Arya replied, sounding hesitant. "My dad wouldn't like that." "He doesn't have to know," Veronica said quickly. "I'll cover for you. Say we're having a girls' night. He trusts me." I had to walk away before I broke the door down. Thursday, everything unraveled. I was digging through our old filing cabinet, checking for anything suspicious, when I found it. A folder tucked behind some outdated tax forms. Inside, newspaper clippings, printed emails, and photos. Stories of other families. Other single dads with teenage daughters. Robert from Michigan. His daughter Emma ran away at 17. The article mentioned a woman named Victoria who had been living with them. James from Ohio. His daughter Brittany filed a restraining order against a woman named Veronica. The photos showed the same woman. Sometimes blonde, sometimes brunette. Always with a new look. But it was her. She'd done this before. Many times. I scanned and copied everything, hid the evidence at my office, then did what I should have done long ago. I hired a private investigator. By Friday, he had answers. Veronica's real name was Vivian Marsh. She had a record: fraud, identity theft, solicitation. She'd served 2 years in minimum security and had been out for 3. Since then, she'd been moving from state to state, targeting single fathers. But the worst part? She wasn't acting alone. The investigator uncovered links to a man named Marcus Webb. Late 40s, history of arrests for soliciting minors, currently out on parole, and his travel record matched hers. Wherever she went, he had been too. This wasn't about manipulation anymore. This was organized. It was trafficking. I told the investigator to dig up everything on Marcus Webb, where he lived, worked, what car he drove, because I had a terrible feeling. He was the man I saw Arya get into a car with that night. Saturday morning, Veronica announced she was taking Arya shopping. "Just us girls," she said, winking. "We'll be out all day." As soon as they left, I tore the house apart. I found her second phone in a shoebox in the closet. It was locked, but I'd seen her type the passcode enough times. The messages made my stomach turn. Texts to Marcus about Arya. "She's almost ready. She'll be worth the wait." There were messages to other men too, discussing preferences, price ranges, as if Arya was a product, and then messages to Arya herself. Hundreds of them, telling her she was special, that she deserved better than a boring life. Slowly, carefully, turning her against me, against school, against anything safe. I took screenshots of everything, sent them to my own email, to my mom, and to the investigator. Then I put the phone back exactly where I found it. They got home around 6 p.m. Arya was carrying shopping bags but looked uncomfortable. She met my eyes and gave me the tiniest shake of her head. Something had happened. After dinner, Arya asked me to help with homework. When we were alone, she pulled out her phone and showed me a recording. "She took me to meet him," Arya whispered. "That man, Marcus." She said it was a coincidence, but it wasn't. On the recording, I could hear Marcus complimenting her. "You're even more beautiful in person," he said. Veronica laughed, encouraged Arya to thank him. He suggested dinner soon. "Maybe next time your dad's out of town." "I wanted to run," Arya said. "He looked at me like I was something he wanted to own." I hugged her tight. "You did great. This is exactly what we needed." But Veronica was getting impatient. By Sunday, she was on edge, snapping at little things. The sedatives in my coffee got stronger. I'd been dumping them, still pretending to be drowsy, letting her think she was winning. And then Monday, everything blew up. I came home to find Veronica on the couch, crying, full-on sobbing, makeup smeared, breathing uneven. "What's wrong?" I asked, trying to sound concerned. She looked up, eyes bloodshot. "I can't do this anymore," she said through tears. "The lies, the sneaking around. I know you know." My heart stopped. "You know about my past? About the things I've done?" She looked up at me, eyes wide, voice shaking. "I'm not proud of it, but I've been trying to change. That's why I fell for you, for this family. You made me want to be better." It was a convincing act. And if I hadn't seen the evidence, I might have believed her. But I played along, sat beside her, let her cry on my shoulder. Everyone deserves a second chance, I said softly. Her expression shifted, hope glowing behind tears. Really? You're not going to kick me out? Let's talk about it. Tell me everything. And she did. Her version of it, at least. Claimed she'd gotten involved with the wrong people, ended up in prison for things that weren't her fault. Said she was just trying to survive. That meeting me had changed everything. Not a single word about the other families. Nothing about Marcus. Nothing about Arya. I nodded, made understanding noises. Told her I needed time. That I still loved her. She bought it. The relief on her face made me sick. By Tuesday, she thought she'd won. She was relaxed, comfortable, and getting sloppy. I found her laptop open while she was in the shower. I grabbed my phone and took photos of everything I could. Emails with Marcus, detailing payments and delivery dates, a folder of photos, not just of Arya, but other girls too, many looking drugged, confused, or terrified, a calendar with one. Red circled date, Saturday. Just 4 days away. Wednesday, I met with the investigator and our lawyer. I showed them everything. The lawyer said it was enough to get a restraining order, possibly file criminal charges. But we needed to act carefully. If Veronica caught on or tipped Marcus off, they might both disappear. We made a plan. Friday night, while Veronica thought I was at a work dinner, police would move on Marcus. He'd already violated parole. Once he was in custody, they'd pressure Veronica into confessing. But Veronica had plans of her own. Thursday morning, she was extra sweet, made a full breakfast, not just coffee, pancakes, strawberries, Arya's favorite. I watched her like a hawk, made sure she didn't slip anything into our food. I was thinking, she said casually, maybe this weekend we could take a little family trip, just the three of us, a fresh start. Where? I asked. There's this cute bed and breakfast a few hours north. Very secluded, romantic. We could reconnect, get away from all the stress. Isolated. No neighbors, no help. Sounds nice, I lied. Let me check my schedule. That night, her burner phone buzzed nonstop. She kept sneaking off to answer, returning frustrated. I caught part of one call. He's not stupid. We need more time. Friday morning couldn't come fast enough. I barely slept, kept checking that Arya's bedroom door was locked. At breakfast, Veronica made my coffee like always. I pretended to drink it, acting groggy. Like she expected. She kissed me on the forehead. Have a great day, baby. Tonight's going to be special. I got in my car, drove a block, then circled back and parked out of sight. The investigator was already waiting in an unmarked car. Just after noon, Veronica left the house carrying a suitcase. Then another. She was getting ready to run. The investigator immediately called the police. The plan had to move early. But when officers arrived at Marcus's apartment, he was gone. His neighbors said he'd left in a rush that morning. Bags loaded into his Mercedes. I called Arya's school in a panic. She was safe, still in class. I told them there was a family emergency and that no one except me was authorized to pick her up. When I got home, Veronica was already back. Calm, composed. Like she hadn't just tried to disappear. You're home early, she said, eyes avoiding mine. Wasn't feeling well. That coffee this morning hit different. She frowned, came over, touched my forehead. You do feel warm. Why don't you lie down? I'll make you some soup. I went upstairs, but I didn't rest. I called the lawyer, updated him. He said to stay the course, act normal. They were tracking Marcus's car. It was only a matter of time. But I knew Veronica wasn't waiting for Saturday anymore. Whatever she'd planned, it was happening tonight. I texted Arya. Go to Grace's after school. Tell them you're spending the night. Don't come home, no matter what. Around 4 p.m., I heard Veronica on the phone again. Tonight. Yes, I'm sure. He's practically unconscious. Bring the van. I hit record on my phone. Then, I did something reckless. I walked straight into the kitchen where she was making dinner and said, I know everything. She froze, knife still in her hand. What are you talking about? Marcus, the other families, what you were planning for Arya. For a second, her face dropped. The mask slipped. Cold. Calculating. A stranger I didn't recognize. Then she smiled. You're confused, baby. The sedatives can mess with your mind. You should sit down. I haven't been drinking the coffee, Veronica. Or should I say, Vivian. The knife clattered to the counter. How long? She asked. Weeks. I have recordings, photos, messages. She actually laughed. You think you're so clever, she sneered. But you're just another clueless single dad who can't see what's right in front of him. What's that supposed to mean? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Arya came to me, she snapped. She wanted this. Wanted someone to show her how to use what she has. You think she's your sweet little girl? She's been sneaking out for months. I just helped her find better options than those pathetic boys at school. You're lying. Am I? She smirked. Check under her mattress. I didn't move. Wouldn't give her the satisfaction. She stepped closer. You have no idea what girls her age are really like. What they want. I was giving her control, teaching her how to survive in a world that devours girls like her. Would you rather she learn it from me, or someone who actually wants to hurt her? You mean like Marcus? Her eye twitched. Marcus is a businessman, she said flatly. He takes care of his girls. His girls? I asked. How many, Veronica? She shrugged. Does it matter? They all wanted it. They liked the attention, the gifts, the thrill. I just opened the door. I kept recording. Let her ramble. Let her dig her own grave. What about Robert? James? All those other fathers? She rolled her eyes. Weak men. Couldn't handle the truth. At least you lasted longer. Where's Marcus now? She smiled coldly. Closer than you think. That's when I heard the front door creak open. Heavy footsteps. Marcus walked into the kitchen like he owned it. Well, he said, eyeing me. This is awkward. I reached for my phone, but Veronica was faster. She slapped it out of my hand. It skidded across the floor, still recording. Now what? I asked. Marcus pulled a gun. Not aimed, just visible. Now you're going to call your daughter. Tell her to come home. No. You don't understand, he said, stepping forward. This is happening, with or without you. But if you cooperate, maybe you'll get to walk her down the aisle someday. Hold your grandchild. Over my dead body. That, Veronica said, can be arranged. But they didn't know. My phone was still recording. And Arya? She was already gone. She's not coming, I said. I told her to stay away. Marcus's expression darkened. Then we'll go get her. Good luck. I told the school no one but me can pick her up. And she's not even there anymore. Veronica grabbed her keys. She's at Grace's house. I've been tracking her phone for months. My blood ran cold. You've been tracking her? Of course, she said. Did you really think I'd leave anything to chance? They started for the door, Marcus keeping the gun visible. I had seconds to act. So I did something stupid. I charged him. We slammed into the counter. The gun flew from his hand. Veronica screamed and leapt onto my back. I threw her off, punched Marcus hard in the jaw, but he was bigger, stronger. He grabbed me in a chokehold, squeezing. Black spots danced in my vision. Then, I heard sirens. Veronica heard them too. We need to go, now! Marcus dropped me and scrambled for the gun, but it was too late. Red and blue lights flooded the windows. Police burst through the door. I pointed, gasping out their names. The next few minutes were chaos. Someone found my phone still recording. Someone else called for an ambulance. Marcus was caught 2 blocks away trying to hotwire a car. Veronica made it as far as a bus station 3 towns over. Arya was safe. Had been safe the whole time. When she'd gotten my warning text, she'd shown it to Grace's mom, who happened to be a 911 dispatcher. They'd been monitoring the house since that moment, waiting for Marcus to appear. The investigation took months. They found 4 more girls Veronica had groomed. 2 had already been sent to Marcus's associates, but were found and rescued. I can't imagine the healing they'll need, but they're alive. Veronica got 15 years. She could have gotten less if she cooperated, but she refused. She insisted to the end that she was helping those girls, not hurting them. Marcus got 25 to life. It wasn't his first operation, just his latest. Arya and I went through a lot of therapy, individually and together. She blamed herself for trusting Veronica, for not seeing the red flags. I blame myself for letting Veronica into our lives at all. But our therapist helped us see it differently. Predators like Veronica are experts. They study you. They find the cracks and wedge themselves in. What matters is, we survived. We fought back. It's been a year. Arya's 17 now, applying to college. She wants to study psychology, help kids who've been through what she has. She's dating a sweet guy from her SAT prep class who brings her flowers and shakes my hand. We still have movie nights on Tuesdays. Still hit the farmer's market on Saturdays. But now, we also have real conversations about trust, consent, red flags, and boundaries. She asked me recently if I'd ever date again. Maybe, I said. When the right person comes along, someone who loves both of us, for who we are, not for what they can manipulate. Just run a background check first, she said with a smirk. And we laughed. Hard. Until we cried. Because if this nightmare taught us anything, it's that the people who seem perfect are sometimes the most dangerous. The ones who slip into your life like they've always belonged, those are the ones to watch. So if something feels off, listen to your gut. And if your child starts changing suddenly, pulling away, don't ignore it. They might be screaming for help in the only way they know how. This is our story. Messy, heartbreaking. Not what we ever imagined, but we made it through, together. And that's what family does.